Oh no, I can't watch anime, I'm not fluent enough. I can't read, I don't know enough kanji. I can't study a language, I just don't have the time. I can't. But what if I tell you these are all wrong beliefs that just keep you from achieving your language goals? I'm a firm believer that you don't need to be fluent in order to be able to enjoy native material and learn a language by immersing yourself in it. All that counts is dedication, willingness to put some effort in here and there, and to sacrifice 100% understanding. But if you think that's alright with you, then let me introduce you to a stunning study method. Because rather than wasting your time on feeling frustrated because you couldn't hold up your Duolingo streak, or not feeling interested in the materials a textbook has to offer, learning should be fun and engaging so you can finally stick to your language goals. And the method which really did the trick for me and made me stick to learning Japanese over the past year now, that is learning through immersion. And here's how you can do it. Choose your field of interest. It really can be anything. For me it's otome games. Maybe for you it's JRPGs, shoujo anime, J-dramas, reality TV, a certain manga, folk tales, how to fix a bike. Anything. You might now think, but I don't understand a word. But hear me out. You then in the second step look for material that is easy within your niche. For example, I have a list about otome games sorted by Japanese difficulty. And there are similar lists with the visual novels or with books. I don't say watch that Kuma Cafe or read that Yotsuba manga. I say choose something that is interesting for you and then try within this field, try to find as easy as possible the material. Because if you don't choose something you're generally interested in, you won't be willing to put in the work to look up every second word. I then highly recommend choosing something you can watch or read on PC, so you can make use of all the tools I'm going to introduce now. And I hope which can make your learning experience as easy and fun as possible. So after you've started immersing in a media, you then start sentence mining. What is that, you might ask? That sounds complicated and unhealthy. To some extent it is.
Slimy, yet satisfying.
But you'll get into it, and I hope this video can provide you with the tools to immediately start using this method, so you can make the most efficient study cards you can imagine. The idea is that words are best learned in context. So when you start reading and you come across an unknown word, you don't just add this word to your Anki deck, but the whole sentence. And you will get the most out of this method if you choose a sentence you generally understand, except for the one word you want to learn. This way, the sentence around the word will help you even better to understand the word and the nuances in the context on top of the translation. You also can remember the scene in which you encountered that word, which gives even more emotional meaning to the word and enhances the connections you can build up. And every connection you can make with a word will make it easier to remember. But especially when you are a beginner, you might not often come across sentences which you only don't know one word of. So it's totally alright to mine a whole sentence and try to learn every single part of it. But which words should you choose? For beginners, I would recommend you only add words that are common and you've come across multiple times. Because by learning the first 1,000 words of a language, you'll be able to understand up to 65% of a sentence. And in general, I would recommend this approach to all levels, to focus on the most common words. But of course, you can also just learn the words you are interested in. But how to efficiently make these sentence cards? As so often in life, there's a hard and an easy way. The hard way, I think, was initiated by Learn Japanese the More way, who learn Japanese with visual novels. And the basic setup is the application ShareX and a dictionary like Yomichan or the Migaku dictionary, and of course Anki, one of the most popular free spaced repetition softwares which helps you rehearse your flashcards before you forget their contents in the most efficient way. With ShareX, you can screen capture every text, copy it, and add it to your flashcards. With your dictionary, you can insert all the information you need on that word and even add a screenshot and audio for the most immersive vocabulary card ever. So after a bit of a fiddly setup, each multimedia card will take you about 20 seconds to make. Pretty good. But there have been a group of language learners and immersers who aim at streamlining this process. And that's my video sponsor Migaku. Migaku is a browser extension which allows you to do all these things and more with a simple click. Set up your language and are basically good to go. If you are reading a text with Migaku, they of course have a hover dictionary. And if you want to make a flashcard, they give you the option to automatically add audio and Google Pictures to this card, so you don't have to worry about a thing. If you're watching YouTube, Netflix, Animelon, Prime or dramas on Viki, Migaku captures the subtitles for easy lookup, and when you then make a flashcard for a word, it automatically takes a screenshot and adds the audio of the sentence with a single click. Migaku can also show you which words you already know and which not, as well as indicate the pitch accent in Japanese. And speaking of Japanese, they are also currently working on a pitch accent trainer, as well as a comprehensive course for beginners, the 2000 most common words and 600 grammar points. And the reason why I'm most excited for this product is that they are currently working on a solution to combine their extension with reading visual novels on PC. At the moment, you would have to use Textractor and then put it into Migaku, but they want to combine it so you can add the vocabulary cards directly, taking the screenshot and audio from the visual novel. And this passionate team of language enthusiasts is aiming to provide you with the best experience in whichever way you choose to learn your language. And if that makes you curious, you can use the link in my description, which gives you 1 additional free month for whichever subscription you choose. Then you're a YouTuber who tries to sell me stuff. So big thanks to Migaku for allowing me to share this all with you and to give all the people who are not so much in this technical stuff a chance to easily make their sentence cards. The only problem is, what if you play your games on consoles? One solution would be to stream your console on PC and then use OCR techniques to capture the text, but I prefer playing on my couch, so that's not really an option for me. What I do is make the Anki cards like I used to do with my Takaboto dictionary, but make screenshots of that sentence, which I move to the PC either via USB if it's on the Switch, or the buggy content manager if it's on the Vita. And then add the screenshots manually to the Anki decks. I also tried recording the sentences and then cutting the audio and adding the audio file also, but for me this is so much more work with relatively small benefits. So I personally just stick to making the screenshots, but still see a massive increase in retention compared to the non-screenshot vocabulary cards. And that wasn't even my idea, but Honey's idea from the Discord. Thank you so much. It helped me really a lot. I personally, until now, always had the problem of not being able to stick to my study plan. I set a new goal, studied an hour a day for 1 day, and then failed. I set a goal to study only 15 minutes a day, did it for 2 weeks, and then stopped. Or just opening my textbook made me instantly fall asleep. But with this immersion-based approach, based on the sentence mining, I'm sticking to learning a bit every day for over a year now, and can see so much improvement without putting in strenuous effort. Just by playing games I highly enjoy almost every day, and practically learning on the go. But what should you pay attention to? The mistakes I made starting out with this approach, you can witness in my first videos about this topic, was making too many cards with too many unnecessary words. Depending on your learning level and goals, it might be more beneficial to prioritize common words to quickly raise your level of understanding. You will see more fruits having learned a word like to go instead of the vacation servants take 2 times a year. You will need one word more often than the other. The next mistake I made was adding too many cards, more than I could learn. I now would only add as many cards as I can learn a day. That might be 5, that might be 10. Try out what works for you. Ideally, you should then learn these words as quickly as possible, when your memory of the context is still fresh. So I know some people in my Discord who only allow themselves to continue playing or reading after they've learned the words of the cards they made the day before. And after they've added, let's say, 10 new words today, they'll stop adding sentences and just continue reading. This way you also get a nice mixture of intensive and extensive reading. And the last mistake I only corrected recently was adding the words without the sentences, meaning without the screenshot. Because it takes so much less time just looking the word up, adding it to the list and sending it to Anki, and poof, here you go. But, as I already said, the context here is the magical ingredient. And if you try to learn a word without the context and without an example sentence that is meaningful for you or that you don't understand at all, it will take you way more time to finally learn the word than it would take you to make a good flashcard with the added screenshot. But what about active skills, you might ask? And this is a tricky question for me, as that totally depends on your language goals. Do you only want to be able to read Japanese books and play games or watch anime? Then you're totally fine with passive skills. If you want to actively speak Japanese, you can write something about what you've read and let it be corrected by a native speaker. Take italki lessons or join us in the Discord where we have a weekly Japanese chat about the games we've played in a super relaxed environment. And if you're like me and can't motivate yourself to actively study, at least to review the cards you've made yesterday. Then I want to invite you over to my Twitch channel, where I just started streaming 4 times a week to hold myself accountable for a bit of vocabulary reviews, as well as to prepare for the JLPT at the end of the year. So I'm very happy to see you there, carving out some time for our active study sessions here and there. So what does that mean for you now? Throw the textbooks out of the window? Depends. As I said, I think you can immediately install Migaku and start learning languages the easy and fun way. But of course, it might also be helpful to first learn some basic vocabulary or learn some elementary grammar points. But tell me if you want more details about how to start your immersion learning journey. Or whether you have any other questions on this topic you want me to make a video about. And if you find yourself too busy to actively study, watch this video with some tips I call the 1-minute approach to learn a language no matter how busy your schedule.